Anytime you're ready.
All right, we'll open it up.
Okay, the mayor's called the meeting to order. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Here.
Councilmember Calangiolo. Here. Councilmember Delaney.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Here.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Here.
Okay, we have 5 ayes, which means a quorum is present for this regular meeting of the Garfield City Council, which is being held today, which is Tuesday, May the 15th, 2018. This regular meeting is being held in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided by mail, facsimile, and email to the official city newspapers and to other interested parties, and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin boards in City Hall. If everyone would please rise, we'd like to begin with a flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to make an acknowledgement today. I'd like to thank our VFW. I'd like to thank our middle school, our Marie Marks of that school, and the staff members who came out today. I had the good fortune of being able to join our high school and middle school students at St. Michael's Cemetery, where they placed 1,500 flags on the veterans' graves. When our young people do something that is so good and so pure and so wonderful, it should be acknowledged. And I would like to, Mr. Mayor, if I can, ask for a moment of silence for all of those service people who have died. And we should also give our thanks to those service people who serve us at this time in the armed forces all around the world. Moment of silence. Thank you.
Okay, before we open up the meeting, I'd like to make a statement. Good evening and thank you for coming. During my campaign last year, my main talking points was to improve Garfield's overall as a city. Currently, there has been a debate about whether or not to develop Columbus Field. It seems that everybody assumed that we planned on replacing part of the field with housing. I've always said that while striving to improve Garfield, I would always be open to hearing the residents' voice, and it seems that the residents are opposed to replacing part of the field with housing. At our last council meeting, there was a great turnout of residents who voiced their opinion on this issue, and I greatly appreciate everybody showing up. I would like to state that the only reason housing was even mentioned or thought of was that it would serve as a means of redeveloping the sports complex at Garfield High School. After speaking with the planning board attorney and the redevelopment attorneys, as well as doing my own research in order to give this issue its due diligence, as I promised last meeting, I have come to the conclusion that Columbus Field will stay with Green Acres and there will be no residential or commercial units being built on this land. However, it will remain in the redevelopment zone for the sole purpose of the future potential where a developer may come along and personally finance a remodeling of Columbus Field into a multifunctional park, field, playground without using any taxpayers' money. Again, I'm going to reiterate, it will not be ever used for commercial or residential. There has been a committee formed by residents. They may have some great ideas on how to use this field. I have yet to hear these ideas, however, I am willing and eager to listen. The committee has been meeting and brainstorming on how the field should be best utilized. It is good to see the residents discussing this issue because it is very important. There is a vibrant buzz in Garfield lately. For good, bad, or indifferent, it shows signs of life, and I'm very optimistic about where our town is going. Remember, no matter how large a city is, no matter where it is located, a city still needs people to thrive and survive. Cities are living entities, and it is common for a city to begin showing signs of age and decay over time. Redevelopment and revitalization projects are crucial to the success of Garfield because it stimulates the economy, enhances property values, instills a sense of civic pride, helps current businesses attract new ones. The particular needs of Garfield are unique. We have older homes that are in despair. We have unused and vacant manufactured properties for years past. We also have undeveloped land that we could serve the commercial and residential interests of our cities. The list represents the vision of the City Council along with myself on how to improve and sustain the city of Garfield for years to come. Specifically improving the town's properties, facilities, and amenities, I will continue my significant search for a positive impact in our community. Finally, I would like to thank Deputy Mayor Joe Delaney and Councilwoman Delaney for their support for this ongoing quest to improve the lives of the residents and the landscape of our city. I know it was a touchy situation, and that was not what we wanted, but we wanted the residents to come out. You spoke, we listened. We did listen. And at this time, we're going to be moving on. We'll take it out. It won't be no commercial, no residential, but it'll stay in the redevelopment, because one day maybe a developer will come in here, instead of using our taxpayers' money, will use their money to develop this into a better park, a better field for all our kids to use in the future down the road. So with that saying, Drew, we can open it up to our agenda. Thank you.
Sure. Is there a motion to approve the reports of the Cabinet as presented orally and in writing during the work session held earlier this evening?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Calandrillo, seconded by Councilmember Aaron Delaney. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye, and I'd just like to say one more thing. I had a middle school, you talked about middle school students, Tom. I had a middle school student, Madison Herbernack, and I know I butcher the name all the time. She sent out a petition in my own school without me knowing about it. Yeah, you got detention tomorrow. But I'm proud that our middle school students step up and they ask for these things, and these are the kids that we want to serve in our community. This is what we're looking for. And Madison, instead of changing history, you're making history with this. So thank you. Won't you stand up so we could acknowledge you? Here you go, Madison. Okay.
Question for you.
Take the whole thing. We're ready.
Okay. Resolutions, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, the very first resolution we have, it, you want to explain this? It cuts $250,000 from the 2018-2019 school budget, which was defeated at the polls at the election held on April 17, 2018. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please, Tom.
For the benefit of the ladies and gentlemen of the public, the Board of Education members and the mayor and council met earlier this evening. There was lively discussion concerning the vote taken by the citizens. The citizens, as you know, overwhelmingly defeated the school budget. There were 3 resolutions prepared by the finance officer and myself to cut various amounts from the school budget. The mayor and council and the Board of Education reached an agreement that the cut will be $250,000. At the last meeting, some statements were made that the special education portion of the budget would be touched. That will not happen. The Board of Education gets to make their own decision on where they would like the cuts. But the finance officer and I believe that there is extra money in the following accounts: health benefits, $70,000, equipment, $55,000, telephone, $10,000, legal, $20,000, electricity, $30,000, supplies and materials, $15,000, and in the Social Security account, we believe there's an overage of $50,000. That equals a $250,000 cut. It does not, the proposal, the resolution by the governing body does not affect, in our opinion, the delivery of a thorough and efficient education to the students in our school district. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tom.
Okay, the resolution is signed by council members Aaron Delaney, Joseph Delaney, Calandrillo. You can't sign it. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
All right.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Yes, before I vote, I want to start off by just stating, while the city council keeps the city solvent with an $8.5 million surplus, the financial problems with the Board of Education has been going on for a number of years. Most recently, about 13,000 voters in the city of Garfield, of them, only 150 votes were cast to pass the budget. That's approximately a 4-to-1 ratio of the voters that turned out on election day. With that being said, we had the opportunity at the last meeting to request certain documents from the school board. And these documents were, I think, have really enlightened me as a council member. First thing is, I feel, and I'm not talking about teachers, I think the teachers, especially the early teachers that's just starting, they're not compensated to a high degree. In fact, they could probably get compensated even more. But it's the supervisors, the business administrator, the principals, all the administrative positions. There's about 38 of those positions. And when you add up their compensation, it's just under $7 million for 38 employees. That's where we need to make corrections. The board has to tighten their belt because, you know, my comment is not about politics. It's not about anything other than fiscal survival of the town. You know, we are the poorest town in Bergen County. Yet the school taxes, we get $58 million in state aid. Our budget's 103, maybe 104 million, but yet we can't seem to come within that 2% cap. Something has to be done. Raises cannot be given to administrators if the money is not available. If it's not there, you cannot meet those arrangements. So it seems like originally the budget was at about $2 million. School board had cut it approximately $1 million. The referendum was $1,200,000 that was defeated by you, the public. We take our job seriously up here. We still try to be fair, and I believe by cutting $250 off of $1 million potential tax increase, we're being pretty fair to the school board. Some will criticize us for not being stern enough, and maybe we should have cut it to 2%. Because if you go beyond under the 2%, the county's just going to turn it back, in my opinion. So I'm voting for this 250. I'm hoping that going forward, that we don't even have to address the budget. I'm hoping that they stay within that 2%, and it's not even up for referendum. That'll be a good day for the city of Garfield. Our children do have to they should be educated. We should have buildings that have improvements, and we need to go forward. So with that, I vote aye.
Councilmember Erin Delaney.
Yes, just very quickly, I do want to say that I concur with Councilman Calandrillo on this matter. I had and have had for quite some time concerns with regards to the Board of Education budget. I feel that, like us, they need to live within their means. I may have lost some friends this evening on the board, but that was a sacrifice that I was willing to make for the residents of Garfield. As he said, it was heard loud and clear on election night. And I always say the quote, if you have enemies, that means you've stood up for something. I came in at 300, negotiated with 250, and I was not budging and going any lower than that. So I still stand by my vote. I vote aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
When the city voters voted down this budget a few weeks back, they sent a resounding message to the Board of Ed and to the council. So we had to do something, and we worked with the Board of Ed. The Board of Ed did take a vote tonight that they'll be able to work with their $250,000 cut. So it's a lot of money, $250,000. Even if it's out of how many millions, $250,000 is a lot of money. So I think they're getting the message that, hey, we got to watch every penny, like the city does up here, and hopefully we move forward with that. With that, I vote aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Because I'm an employee of the Board of Education, I need to abstain from this vote.
Okay, we have 4 ayes, 1 abstention. The resolution is adopted. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, resolutions number 156, with the exception of 167, 2, and including number 181, have 5 signatures on them. So if there's no objection, I will take one roll call vote on all those resolutions. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
You're not including 186, correct? That one I'd like to...
No, we're only going up to 181.
Only 181. I vote aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Drew, is 167 removed?
Yes, it is. That's, I'm sorry if I didn't make myself clear, but
Okay.
that's what I tried to say.
Sorry, I vote aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes up to resolution number 181.
Would you just change the mayor's vote from an abstention to not voted? Because it's not an abstention.
Okay, I didn't vote.
He doesn't vote on it.
Okay.
He was excused.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. So 182 is held. So we also have 5 signatures on resolutions number 183, 2 and including number 185. So if there's no objections, I will take one roll call vote on those resolutions. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. Those resolutions are adopted. I'm assuming I should read this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a resolution amending resolution number 18-133, which reads as follows. Whereas on April 3rd, 2018, the mayor and council of the city of Garfield passed resolution number 18-133 entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Garfield, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, determining that the property generally known as Block 119.04, Lot 1, also known as 394 Outwater Lane, as shown on the official tax map of the City of Garfield, qualify and are determined to be as an area in need of redevelopment, specifically a non-condemnation redevelopment area pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A:12A-1 et sec. And whereas the mayor and council believe that it is in the best interest to clarify and modify resolution number 18-133, and whereas the mayor and council believe it is important to maintain the designation of the property as an area in need of redevelopment in order to enhance funding capabilities for the property. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Garfield hereby affirms the findings that the property located on block 119.04, lot 1, also known as 394 Outwater Lane, referred to herein as the property, meets the criteria and qualifies as an area in need of redevelopment, and which shall be non-condemnation redevelopment area pursuant to the redevelopment law. Be it further resolved that the mayor and council hereby amend and clarify the said resolution to require that any redevelopment at the property would continue to utilize the property as an area for public use and shall remain on the recreation and open space inventory of the city of Garfield. The resolution is signed by the entire city council.
Mayor, can I say something
Sure.
about
Sorry, go right ahead.
The resolution at the end talks about the recreation and open space inventory of the city. That is what's known as the ROSI. The ROSI is a document that I use and file with Green Acres when we look for Green Acres funding. The ROSI indicates those parcels of property that are dedicated for park purposes. Thank you.
On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Thank you. On this particular issue, the issue at hand and the way we're interpreting this and the way we're going to bring it back to the planning board is that exactly as it states, if a developer chooses to enhance our property as a park, we'll be more than willing to receive their funds for that type of enhancement. I don't think that the park has been ever underutilized other than the fact that it wasn't actively utilized by the Babe Ruth as they retired out. But I commend all of the organizations that have, without hesitation, absolutely are utilizing that field to the enhancement of our children and our adults that choose to use that as open space. And it was most heartwarming to hear the mayor say, it will never, ever be developed for residential or commercial purposes from this point forward in perpetuity as long as that park is in the hands of Garfield and Green Acres. We'll take that cause to the planning board, develop that resolution there, again reaffirming that they recognize what the council has done. Of course, that takes everything that Frank and I have done allegedly in essence to say to the city, hey, look, let's look at this, that's moot, that would obviously all fade away. There is no compensation, it's just the way we felt we had to bring a light, a big light, on this beautiful park. And I commend all those people that have actively participated in it. Please don't give up. I'd love to see the city, with all due respect to whatever development comes in the future. We've been talking about basketball courts forever. That's a perfect spot to put them. We realize that at times basketball players could be loud and outspoken. They're by the train tracks, who's going to hear them? But I think it'll commit the park, it'll commit an event, it'll keep Babe Ruth-type baseball already on the field, have alternate uses for the field. Whatever the committee puts together, I can't wait to see it all. I think it's just one great thing. I have to commend Dennis for his enthusiasm, because he was a one-man workforce. Give him a round of applause. If it wasn't for him, trust me, all of our good words would have meant less, because it was something that you can obviously see was passionate and in his heart. Thank you, Dennis, for everything you did for the city of Garfield. I vote aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Yes, Mayor, I heard what you say, but now I want to hear it from the professionals, the engineer, the city manager, and the attorney. Can they build, after we vote on this resolution, can a private developer purchase or build on this property?
I'll start. The answer is no. All right, it's part of the recreation and open space inventory. It is protected. The mayor and council would have, you'd have to try to sell it. It's just, it can't happen.
Mr. Attorney, you concur?
I concur.
He concurs. All right, Mr. Engineer.
I concur, but if we all understand what concur means, I concur.
Well, okay, well, better yet, let me take that back. What is your opinion?
As long as the vote stays as it is, that's what happens. And and the Green Acre space, could a developer build on it? Yeah, a developer could build a better park, park improvements. So, but it's not going to be used under this resolution for residential housing, for commercial development. It's going to be used for public open space. And by keeping it in the redevelopment zone, you enhance significantly the funding potential for those park improvements, and funding potential which would be paid from other sources and not from city taxpayer money. So I think it's a very wise move on behalf of the mayor to present that to the council.
Thank you, Bob.
And Mr. Mr. Engineer?
It's unanimous. I didn't want to raise any caveats earlier, but we also do use it for one other purpose, and that is we operate 2 wells over there. So we have a utility there, like we have the Elmwood Park well field, but that's it. The recreation, the water use, those are the only 2 uses that are permitted there. The water use is actually an exemption. It's been there since the 20s.
So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I want to thank the public. You know, there's been an outcry from the public at the last meeting, and throughout the town, the buzz was that this was not going to be accepted by our officials or any officials, that public land is for the public. And I want to thank Mr. Malicki. Dennis has really fought the battle. He has really stepped up as a citizen, well-concerned and very interested, and I thank everybody for being here. And our children will benefit by this night, never to be threatened with the fact of selling public land for private development. That field will be there another 100 years, hopefully, maybe even longer. And young lady, thank you for that petition. You know what, when that was brought to the microphone by Mr. Malicki, it's not very often that you see a student give a lesson to a principal. But I think we've witnessed that, and so with that, I want to thank you for your effort, the middle school students for signing that, because tonight's it's a good night. It's a good night. Now we can move forward with the next phase, and that's making a beautiful park. Let's utilize it. Let's really enjoy it. And just so the public knows, I'm going to vote yes, but I'm not agreeing with that planning board study. I'll put it on record. I totally disagree. The underutilization of that park is only by what we, the city, created by not letting people go on the park. In the last 30 days, we have soccer by the YMCA. We have baseball for that age bracket of Babe Ruth, Senior Little League. 23 children are signed up, ready to play ball in just a few days of sign-ups. So that is good. We have Challenger Ball on that baseball field, which is a Challenger League that we have a group of students, a group of young kids playing. And the potential is to go tenfold. I believe, let's just put it out there, enjoy it, and I think it's a great move. So with that, I vote yes.
Councilmember Erin Delaney.
Yeah, I just want to start off by saying, Mayor, I couldn't have said that any better myself. Great job at the beginning of our meeting. And I too would love to commend Madison. I think something like that takes a lot of courage, and it's wonderful to see such a strong young female voice in our middle school. So kudos to you for sure. And I also want to commend the council for their agreeance on this matter. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. I look forward to seeing the potential of this field and park and working with our community on this. Our potential lies between what is and what could be, so I look forward to seeing what could be at that field. With that, I do want to apologize. I was not at the last meeting. I think it was on April 24th. So I don't want to rehash bad blood, but I do want to address a letter that was discussed and put around town that said that the mayor, the deputy mayor, and myself put politics ahead of the welfare of our town, our city's youth, the environment, and our history. That's not true and has never been true. I think it was very hurtful and malicious, and in my opinion, there were ulterior motives with that letter. And to read something like that, and to hear that it was actually disseminated on a day that was supposed to be about our youth, was very disheartening to me. But with that being said, I do want to move forward and work with the council on this. Like I said, I commend us for coming to agreement on something that maybe we didn't see eye to eye on in the beginning. But with that being said, I vote aye. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Yes, you know, last year at this time, we weren't discussing this Columbus Field, City Field whatsoever. We were just leaving it as it is. Today we're discussing it. That's a great thing. That's a great thing, because it is a great piece of property, great field, and to enhance it to where we could have more kids enjoying it, not even kids, more residents of the city enjoying it, it's a plus. To keep it in green acres and all, that's fantastic. The only reason, and when we started this, we never said that we wanted to put condominiums up there. That was never said. That was brought up by certain people, but we never said that. We just said we wanted to look at the redevelopment of the park. I brought up last meeting with regards about the 2 acres to try to get money to do the high school field. If you all know, it was about 2 months ago, we had a Green Acre grant for $1 million to do that field, and we lost it. Right? That field, that high school field means a lot to me. So I'm still fighting for it. I'm happy that we're going to turn Columbus Field into a recreation for the youth in the city of Garfield, all resident, that's fantastic, without putting any development there. But let's not forget about our high school kids. Let's not forget about this field right across the parking lot. Myself and my daughter, we went to Trenton today to meet with the governor's office. And the first thing I asked the people in Trenton was, what can we do for the high school field? So I'm not giving up on the high school field. All right, it might not be part of this, and I humbly changed my mind, which was mentioned at the last council meeting. Be humble. And humble, to me, is seeking and doing God's will. You know, so as far as the 2 acres, okay, fine, so that's not going to happen. But I don't want to forget about the high school field. I do not want to forget about these 1,400 kids that got to practice on that inhabited field every single day. You know, so let's work together. Let's make Columbus Field a great park, but let's also try and fix up the high school too. With that, I vote aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
All right, this is good. This is real good. You know, when this idea came out, a lot of people were coming up to me, and I guess they were upset with me, and this is family and friends. I see a lot of people out there, and a lot of these people out there I know personally, very close, and they were like, this is not personal. It was never personal. I sit up here with 4 mayors. Everybody else has been up here for 20 years or more, other than Aaron, maybe a future mayor or senator and governor. And listen, I always say I'm going to make mistakes, but this is why I sit up here. I listen to everybody. My opinion is an opinion, and I'll listen. If I need to change my mind, I'll change my mind. All right? I'm not afraid to change my mind. My idea is not always the best idea. So we put something out there. The people spoke. This is why it's good. And this field, I remember this field, and a lot of people out there, and I know you remember it too, Century Field was all woods. This is where I practiced the junior Boilermakers. This is where the Little League, this is where the Babe Ruth was. This is where everybody went. That was the park. It was either the Pump House or Columbus Field. You know, we used to get well water over there. And it's a tough decision when you see it. And when it was not being used, it was a decision. A wrong decision, and I admit it, but I move on. I admit the mistake, and I move on. And we try to make it better. Now, I'm excited that one day there's going to be money coming in, and hopefully this will be a beautiful field. I know, Ty, I think you're part of this committee. You're like a president of this committee, Ty, am I correct? Oh, no? I apologize. I apologize, but I know you're part of the committee, am I correct? And I know the committee's been talking, and I've been hearing rumors, and I like to sit down with everybody to hear it. So one day, when money does come in, and we don't have to use our taxpayer money, but we could use the developer's money to develop this field into a field that's almost like Century Field. Almost like a Century Field, where people go down every day and use it every day. For baseball, Little League or Senior Little League, soccer, football, whatever, basketball courts, tennis courts, track, walk around track, sit down park, play swings, I don't know. We all have ideas, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited that this field is actually going to start to be used and utilized the way it should have been used when I was younger, the way it was used when I was younger. To see when you're driving down Outwater Lane or Midland Avenue, you see a bunch of kids in there. There used to be cheering in there too, just not recent, until recently, all cheering practices were there. So I'm excited. Dennis, I know we spoke a lot of times, a couple of times, Dennis, and it was good conversation. We were on the opposite sides, but I know Frank and Lou, we spoke, but compromise. That's how the city moves forward. We're always not going to agree, but we need to compromise to see what's best. And this is a great compromise. It stays a field, but it stays in the redevelopment, where one day we could get money, and I'm excited about that. And you know what? There's going to be other projects in Garfield I'm going to go looking forward to. And I know Joe alluded to one, is the high school. I still want to get that into a state-of-the-art field as well one day. And hopefully we can. Hopefully we can. And from that, I just like to say, oh, Madison, not only do you have central detention tomorrow, all these names I'm calling down tomorrow. Only kidding. I'm very proud of my student. It takes a lot for students to step up. And, you know, and that's what Garfield's about. That's what Garfield's about. And it's good to see everybody come out when there's an issue that people hold dear to their hearts, and they can voice their opinion. I'm very happy about that. And to anybody, if we offended anybody, we apologize, but we just want to keep Garfield moving forward. We can't stay still. We got to keep moving forward so we can improve. With that, I vote aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The resolution is adopted. That concludes resolutions at this time, but we also should point out, even though we did not act on a resolution canceling the May 29th meeting, it is on to let the public know that even though it was on the agenda to cancel it, the meeting will be held on May 29th at this point.
Okay.
Okay, bills and claims, Mayor?
Bills and claims.
Okay, resolved by the City Council of the City of Garfield that the following bills, number 2097 to 2098, covering Community Policing Trust Fund, Dog Trust Fund totaling $1,566.60, and the current fund reserve totaling $385, and the current fund totaling $305,369.64, and the water fund current totaling $156,391.05, and the general capital fund totaling $50,681.50, and the water capital fund totaling $1,404. Per attached computer list, be ordered paid, and the proper officers are hereby authorized to issue checks for same, provided there are funds in the respective appropriations. Be it further resolved that the action of the mayor, city clerk, and city treasurer in issuing checks on the ratification list, which includes 33 items prior to the meeting, be ratified. Bills and claims resolution is offered by the entire city council. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Yes, vote aye on all bills. If there's any bills for Santini, the former animal control officer, I vote no on that bill.
Okay, Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, bills and claims are approved. Ordinances, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Okay, the following entitled ordinance was introduced at a meeting held on March the 13th, 2018. It was duly published. Copies were posted on the bulletin boards in City Hall. Copies were made available to the general public, and having complied with the law, the public hearing was held on March 27th, 2018, at which meeting the ordinance was tabled. The ordinance was also tabled at the meeting held on April the 3rd, 2018, and April the 24th, 2018, and the City Council can now proceed with the final passage, if that is so. At your pleasure.
Yeah, Tom, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I do apologize, I have not had the opportunity to meet with Lieutenant Marsh and go over the ordinance in detail, as well as some of the objections that we have received. We have been engaged in other projects that have been really more important than addressing this at this time. I would ask that this be tabled once more to give me an opportunity to meet with the lieutenant and come back to the mayor and council with a recommendation.
A motion to have it tabled.
Is there a motion?
Could we motion it to have it tabled to the meeting in June, since I won't be here on the 29th?
Is that okay, Tom?
Can I motion to have it to the meeting in June, so I won't be here on the 29th?
That could be done.
June 12th.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. Okay, yes, that'd be great.
When is the meeting in June?
June 12th
June
is the
12th?
first one.
June 12th, thank you.
So I guess that's your motion?
That's my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, on the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
I motion not to table, and I motion to just defeat, and let's redraft it. Because everybody's, it's, like months off. It's not May, it's now June. All you'd have to do is re-advertise it.
It's been a year and a half, Lou.
Obviously, I vote no.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Abstain.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
We have to get this done. It's been too long that we haven't had the towing ordinance for a year and a half. To vote no on it, well, I think would just extend the length that we don't have one, so I definitely want it done by the June meeting. I vote aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
I vote aye.
Okay, we have 3 ayes, 1 nay, 1 abstention. The ordinance is laid on the table until June 12th, 2018. The following entitled ordinance was introduced at a meeting held on April the 24th, 2018. It was duly published. Copy was posted on the bulletin boards in City Hall. Copies were made available to the general public, and having complied with the law, this ordinance can now be read in full, and the City Council can now proceed with the public hearing and final passage. Bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of the tree planting program in, by, and for the City of Garfield in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $270,000 to pay the costs thereof, to appropriate a state grant, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Need a public hearing here.
All right, for this ordinance and this ordinance only, would anybody like to come up and speak? I see no hands.
Okay, on second reading, final adoption, council member, on the roll call, council member Aloya.
All right?
Council member Calangelo.
Yeah, Drew, I'm sorry, what ordinance is this again?
This is the bond ordinance concerning the tree planting program for
I vote aye.
Councilmember Erin Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
I happen to see all the trees going up around town, in our parks, and on our streets. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I hope everybody's happy with the trees. Yes. All right, yeah. So we'll plant a few more. I vote aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Yeah, the trees I felt today from the storm will be replaced. I vote aye as well.
Okay, we have 5 ayes, the ordinance is adopted. What's the 15th?
Yeah, 15th.
Okay. On introduction, we have an ordinance to amend Chapter 191 of the City Code of the City of Garfield entitled Laundromats, specifically Chapter 191-4, therein entitled Hours of Operation. The ordinance is introduced by the entire City Council. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya. Aye. Councilmember Calangelo.
Aye.
Councilmember Erin Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney. Mayor Rigoloso.
Yeah, just so everybody knows that this ordinance is for them to open up. For some reason, I guess laundromats aren't allowed to be opened on Sunday in Garfield, and this ordinance is for them to open up on Sunday. I always thought they were open on Sunday, but but this is order to make sure they could stay open without being illegal, so I vote aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The ordinance passes on first reading, and that concludes all written items for voting at this time. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council.
Okay, at this time, I'll open it up to the citizens and taxpayers to come on up. Just remember, there's a lot of people, I assume they will want to say something, so we're going to keep it to 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address, Lisa.
Lisa, oh, it's not on. Don't worry. Testing. Lisa Logan, 140 Main Street, Garfield, New Jersey. I just want to commend the councilman on voting for us not to have condos on that property. I always like to hit it with a, I thank you guys, and then I also have a problem because my daughter plays softball for Garfield Softball League, and on Sunday it rained, and the fields were muddy. But then the city called and we had to cancel the games on Monday because they didn't want to go up after 12 o'clock to drag the fields. I think that's a little ridiculous. I don't think they should call off games until maybe afternoon time, after lunchtime, especially if it rained the day before, because it gives the time for the field to dry out, because that's all those games we have to make up, and the kids are making double headers, and then we run out of time, and then they don't get enough games in. So I asked the councilman, if you can please give them until in the afternoon, until the sun comes out, the day before it rains, before they start calling off for games for that following day. Because that's not fair to the girls, and that's not fair, we always kind of get the crappy end of the stick anyway, but we're not going to go there. But I just feel like, maybe they should wait till the afternoon to call off the games instead of calling them off so early in the daytime for if it rains the next day, for them to drag the fields out. Thank you.
Lisa, you said that it was this past Monday? I just want to make sure.
This past Monday, yeah. If they called it, what time did they call them, Dana? It was early in the morning. So we didn't play. We didn't play
Would you know who called the game?
Who usually calls the game, Dana? I know you can talk to Karen, but I'm just saying it's always a problem. It's always a problem when it comes to the girls softball league in those fields. We always have to fight them to come up there to drag the fields. They give us a hard time about every little thing. So they need to leave us be a little bit, We're the only girls softball league going on up there, and it's been going on for so many years. They need to just not do what we say, but we don't ask for much all year, all season. So if they gotta drag them after lunch, because, you know, the city doesn't really like to work after lunchtime, let's be honest. They gotta get in the tractor and drag the field after lunchtime, spare my life, okay?
Anybody else would like to come on up?
Jeanette Cassiano, 481 Harrison Ave, Garfield. So I have an issue going on. I live on Harrison, which is close to 46. I cannot tell you how many accidents have occurred that people have either broken my mirror when it's parked on the street, because I do have a sticker to park on the street. They speed like crazy. I have to play cat and mouse to get out of my driveway to go to work every day. I'm talking about buses are speeding. A school bus came flying down the other day, a Garfield school bus. Why? I don't know. But I'm proposing that there's a way we can put speed bumps, like how we have on I think it is, some speed bumps or something, at least on the Garfield side. I know we share with Lodi. I don't know how that plays. Half the street belongs to Lodi and half is Garfield, but it's very dangerous. We also have some kids that just recently moved there, so I'm very concerned with them as well. 2, the potholes are growing bigger. There's one in front of my house. I already popped 2 tires. I know you laughed. I don't know if it can be fixed, filled, something. I'm about to put a tree in it so it can...
It's on Harrison Ave?
Well, what's the
Have you
address?
reported them?
It's on the...
We'll see him tomorrow.
On the Garfield side. I don't know if it's...
41 Harrison.
It's right in front of my house, in front of my driveway. I have to play to go around, and then coming with those cars flying down is ridiculous. So I was hoping that maybe...
We'll let our supervisor know at the DPW, take a look at the potholes.
I've complained to them. I've complained because when the last storm, we had a tree fall. They never came to my house to pick it up. They said I had to cut it into 4 inches and tie it up so that they can come and pick it up. The tree fell in front of my house. I thought that was the town. If it fell in my backyard, I would have done it. But if I'm complaining constantly to DPW, then who else am I going to complain to?
Well, we'll talk to the DPW, and we'll make sure the potholes get filled.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to come on up?
Line 159 Market. Just on the tree issue, I was wondering, there were multiple spots built into the river walk when it was created where a lot of the trees either didn't take or were hit by vehicles. Are those spots going to be filled with all these trees? Is that being considered with all these trees that are being planted?
I'm sorry,
Yeah, I believe last year I had Mr. Garofalo put 6 trees in to replace the ones, so I'll go by and look, but I thought they were full.
I haven't actually checked myself very recently, but I was
Okay.
just thinking about it when I heard the issue.
Okay.
But we do check the trees and the light poles and the garbage cans, but believe
I
me,
know you got me with the light bulbs. I actually spoke to you about that, and I appreciate it.
yeah.
anyone else would like to come on up?
Hey, Kevin, I'd like you to see him tomorrow, too.
Good evening, council,
He's the one.
ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank the police.
We know who you are, but could you state your name, please?
Anthony
Yes,
Morales.
Anthony Morales, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. 90 Passaic Street Farmers Insurance. First, I want to thank police and DPW for today. I made a call for a tree that fell down right next door to us. They responded quickly. And hopefully the tree be taken out before business day tomorrow. Regarding the Hispanic Heritage Month, we know that we're going to be celebrating it this year on October 13th. We want to find out that's going to be made official on a yearly basis to celebrate that here in Garfield. Is that going to be part of the calendar? 1 and 2. As far as City Field, I am part of that committee, and I congratulate the committee for making the efforts and the public. The decision was made because the public spoke. That shows the power that we have as the people here in Garfield, the residents, to keep that democracy that we have that our voice and our vote should count and will always count as long as we stand up and speak the truth and speak it in a diplomatic way. So congratulations to the committee and congratulations to the residents. As far as the response that we got, when the question was asked to the lawyer, if he can confirm that, and we didn't get a solid answer as a yes or a no, at least I didn't hear in the back. If anybody's coughing back there, it's me, by the way. I am the culprit coughing in the back. So I didn't hear it. So that leaves like an open door, something we said, if the votes remain the same. That remains open. Somebody said forever, it's going to be a field, it's going to be done forever. It's going to be a field forever. I mean, that forever word can change. When it comes to politics, things can change. So I'm optimistic to a certain point, but anyway, thanks for that response. And also, we still have something pending that's been pending for a while. I haven't been available because I've been busy with business and so forth. The redevelopment of 6th Street, I know there's some members here from that committee as well. I was asked to be on the focus group over a year ago. I never sat on the focus group on that committee. So I am just as lost as everybody else to be informed, to be a liaison to the committee or the community over as far as the businesses, to keep them informed. I've been asked so many times what's going to happen. I got to the point where I no longer try to present myself as the liaison to the business there because the support that I was hoping to get from the council was never there, so I kind of stepped back and hopefully things will turn out the way it was planned. So I want to take this time to thank you again, Council, for making that decision not to build on that property. Mayor, one thing I like about you is you admit the fact that you made a wrong decision. And you're the only one that said that. And I'm sure other committee members here do not agree with it, but you are the one that voiced it, and I think that matters a whole lot. And as far as the field here for the students, you folks sit in a very powerful position that we voted you in. That field can be done with the work of the Board of Education and the council. The ball's being dropped. You can't put it on the people. You're up here for a reason. We trust you to make the right decisions for the well-being of the community and the future of our generations here in Garfield. That city field can be done without a lot of red tape. You guys know how to do it. Make it happen. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Anthony. Anybody else would like to come on up? Dennis, please.
Mayor, Council, could not be more proud of you guys for listening. You listen to the people, and thank you everyone for speaking up and getting to these council meetings. It was extremely important. Thanks to Frank and Louis for getting out in front of this. And again, I'm extremely proud to be from Garfield, where we have a council that listened to the people. I was scared to death that this was going to go on throughout all the points that were made and still go on, but you listened. You listened. I commend you. That's what government is about. I'd really like to walk away from this, Councilwoman Delaney, regarding your remarks. The leaflet that was passed out, I wrote that. I wrote every word. And I just need you to know that nobody by name was mentioned. Council members were mentioned. I called your father and asked him to come to my garage where we sat for an hour. And I said, Joe, listen, I'm really bothered by this. I do not want to use anybody's name in a leaflet. I explained that to him. We sat there. And that's the way it ended. I wouldn't name anybody by name. And if that was hurtful, any part of that, not only did I write it, I put it in the paper as well. And I stand by every word. If you feel it was hurtful or offending, the proposal to put housing in Columbus Park was equally as hurtful and appalling to me as that leaflet was to you. So I don't want to drag this out. To me, tonight is something to be proud of and joyful. And I don't mean to offend anybody personally. The proposal, again, bothered myself and the citizens as much as that leaflet may have hurt you. And I don't want to get into a debate about this. If you were offended, I respectfully apologize. But it was the issue. And again, I don't want to take away from what was done. You guys listen to the people, and that's the most important part of this council. And I don't think she can get a better lesson in life as to what happened here tonight. She learned that people can make a difference. And just, again, be proud of Garfield, and we have a lot to look forward to. You know, your grandfather's up there. Far from the tree. Good thing he wasn't doing this at 13 to be president right now. But again, thank you, council. Thanks for listening to me.
Hey, Dennis, we know who you are, but for the audio record, could you just state your name and address?
Sure. Dennis Molicky, 54 Mason Place.
Thank you, Dennis. Is there anyone else who would like to come up and speak?
My name is Dante Dortza, 481 Harrison Avenue. I am very glad that you guys are really going forward with this field development and everything, because even as a student, I was in middle school, Riggs was my counselor, he was like father to me, and just the fact that you're making a change, it really means a lot, especially for me, because I remember in middle school, we don't have a baseball field or a soccer field near the middle school. We always have to walk to Vancouver to play our games. We didn't even have rides, we didn't even have cars, because we're only like 12, 13 years old. The idea that, again, it's being developed is really good, because even at the high school field, I wanted to keep that going, because I remember there was a whole propaganda with that, talking about the money and how taxes were being raised, and how long it'll take, and then they were making plans of how it'll look, and it never happened, and then my goal was to see it right before I graduated. Even though I know it takes time, but it's good to see that at least we're making a change now, because it means a lot for us, like for players, for kids, for the people who live here for all the time, and it's like a very big influence and a very big difference for us to have, not just for the city of Garfield, but for kids. Just to get out of their houses, they don't have to stay inside playing games, nothing, they could be out and be social. So again, I just want to say thank you, and I also want to say we look forward to seeing this on field development.
Thank you, Dante. So everybody knows in the audience, Dante was one of our better baseball players a few years back in the city of Garfield. So now you can just walk on down from Harrison Ave. There you go, Dante. Anybody else?
For 196 Shore Street. I just wanted to say thank you for listening, and I've never spoken before, so the sooner was last time, and I guess I'm a little nervous now, but just thank you for really listening, because it means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you spell your last name? I'm sorry.
It's actually D-R-A-E-F-O-R. It's probably on, I don't remember. It's D-R-A-E-F-O-R.
I got D-R-A.
D-R-A-E-F-O-R-T.
Drakeford, D-R-A-K-E-F-O-R-D.
Okay.
You don't know how to spell Drakeford?
No, I just couldn't hear it.
Anyone else who would like to come up and speak? Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Denise Bianchi. I live on Rosette Street in Garfield. And I want to say thank you for the park, too. I watched my brothers grow up playing ball in Garfield my whole life. Speaking of parks, we want to address an issue this week at Rosette Street Park.
Oh, yes.
Whereas on Thursday, the Venetian had trucks come in and set up a barrier where I believe he intended to create more parking for his catering hall. I believe this is the Green Acres Park also under Rossi, and the residents of Lizette Street and in the local area don't want to see any more parking put into that little park that we have there. Maybe a fence where he has already parking in the back where there's cars riding back and forth, and there's children in the park, there's no fence. We'd like to see maybe trees put back up, but most certainly we don't want to see any more parking put into that little area there on Lizette Street Park.
Thank you. Tom.
Mayor, on this, Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, Tom, I actually did receive a call from someone in the neighborhood But I drove back there. Is there any way we could, exactly what was said, maybe put the fencing back there, kind of separate it from what's being paved as far as the roadway and what's already existing as a parking lot?
Yeah, I'll make that call. When the residents came to my office, I immediately contacted the Venetian and told them to stop the job. I contacted the city engineer jumped right on it, so we'll follow up on the fencing and tree request.
But, you know, Mayor, this is a perfect feed-in to what you're thinking. You have a developer who needs something and a park which could use an enhancement, so maybe this is the time to reach out to the Venetian and say, well, if you need, we need, so we need for you to help us fix the park, make it better for the community, enhance the parking for a very big taxpayer, which is nice that we're getting his tax dollars, but let's not compromise the park, let's make the park better. So if we have the opportunity in one field to do something, this is a perfect example of showing our citizens that we can do it.
Right.
Reach out to the Venetian, say, look, this is what we need. This is what the park needs. You better give to us first before you even consider parking.
You're right, Lou. I didn't know they were, actually, I knew the Venetian was doing some type of work, but I didn't know they went into the Lisette Park. I did get a couple of phone calls myself. I called Tom. Tom ceased all the work at that time. So I don't know where the line is between their property and Lisette Park, but we're looking into it, and it's not a bad idea, Lou.
No, explore with Mr.
We'll explore more.
Absolutely.
I've seen that. I took a ride there.
Oh, you took it right in?
Yes, I did.
About 45 feet in and about 200 so.
Yeah, Mayor, if we can know where our property line is, would be beneficial.
Right.
So that they're not stepping over or coming into our property. I think we actually own that property, Tom, right? Don't we lease it to them on that roadway?
Yeah, what
That's the old railroad.
After we had that terrible storm and the Venetian was cut off on River Road, with the council's approval, we authorized to clean that whole property up so that there would be a second way to get in and out. But, yeah, we own the roadway, so, but I think the councilman's suggestion is really a worthwhile one.
Fantastic.
Well, we do got the trees, and Lou's idea is a good idea, so let's see what we can do, Tom. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come up and speak? You said this.
Genevieve Anastas, 78 DeWitt Street, Garfield. I wasn't going to get involved in the Lizette Street Park tonight because there are other questions out there. But after listening to Mr. Aloya, I don't think you're aware of what's going on. We have that property from the city leased to the Venetian for a parking lot. When it was first determined that they were going to put a parking lot in, they were going to put fences with gates so that it wouldn't be a runway. They closed and locked those gates after parties at night, maybe 2 weeks. Since then, those gates have been open night after night. We have drag racing. We have cars going into the Lizette Street Park, digging out the parkland. And it can be, made aware of you from Mr. Garofalo. He sees it. He's seen it. He's questioned it. Mr. Garofalo has been on top of every complaint that's been put in that area, but they are not, the people who are leasing the land from the city are not cooperating with the city. This is our problem. They come in, they landscape the front of the property, beautiful. I mean, I've never seen anything so outstanding in my life. Come in the back by the Lizette Street Park. They have a landscaper that comes maybe twice a year, cuts the weeds, leaves it there, brushes it back up on the hill, leaves all the garbage there, doesn't pick it up. And landscapers are supposed to pick up after themselves. The gates going into the back of that property are always open. They're broken, hit by trucks. They're not chained anymore. It's just unbelievable. How could you have one portion of your building so beautiful and then what you're leasing from the city of Garfield to look like a garbage hill? I mean, I'm totally unaware of where our allowance goes with these people who are leasing our properties. They don't fix the lights. They don't keep the properties clean. They don't keep after the properties. This is our land. And I know if the city of Garfield came into my house and said, you have to do this, this, this on the property maintenance code, they should be held responsible also. We have drag racing 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's unbelievable. And now we have them, they drive down into the park, and it's become a mud hole because under that roadway they put in there, they have a drain, Mr. Boswell, and it is now flooding, with all this extra rain we've gotten this season, flooding the Lizette Street Park. When you come down to look at that stack house, meet up with me and I'll show you exactly where it's coming out. It is so deep in mud now. We have to, if we're going to lease property out in the city of Garfield, we have to make sure that they maintain it according to our standards, not the resident standard, the city of Garfield standards. We're looking to beautify this city. We've done marvelous work with City Hall. We've done marvelous work in totally different areas of this town. We can't let a set few allow to discourage people coming in. They have guests coming from out of town, partying night after night after night. God bless them, they're doing a tremendous business. They're a big taxpayer, and I'm very proud to have them in my area. But then when you go to their back lot,
Mr. Nestor, can I ask you a question?
very embarrassing. And that's all I have to say.
Mr. Nestor, can I ask you a question?
Yes, I'm sorry.
When you say drag racing, is it the employees or the customers? I'm just trying to get a better grasp.
What's
Are they
happening
leaving
is-
out the back way?
It's become almost a street back there.
Okay.
Because they're leaving those gates open. So we have teenagers who are coming in with their cars, starting at either at the end of the DeWitt Street area or at the back of the Venetian, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're taking off and drag racing. It's a wide open street. They're drag racing right down that whole parking lot. And then they come to a screeching stop because there's a small bump on the side of it.
And this is when the Venetian's closed and the party's over?
Yes, yes,
So most
but
likely
when
it's
the Venetian
employees.
is closed, those gates were supposed to be closed and locked. And they did for a while. And now, the locks are hanging on the fence, no chains. Trucks go through because they don't chain it. They go through, and because it's closed, they hit it. You come down there, you're gonna see broken fencing all over the place on that one side, closer to DeWitt Street. It's a shame, it's an embarrassment when people come from out of the city to a grand party at the Venetian and see all this, and all the garbage that's there. And I stood there one day when their landscaper was there. He just pushed it and then took his blower and blew it right up the hill past the weeds. You're supposed to pick this stuff up, not, blow it around let the next guy worry about it.
All right, thank you.
So,
Tom.
that's gotta be addressed before I think we even consider some of that Lizette Street Park. Maintain what you have now. Make it better for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, you get a chance, just talk.
Mr. Boswell, if I can, may I make sure, for our next meeting, if we could, have photos of this, so that way if we can come up with a solution that's amicable, then fine. If we can't, then the answer's going to be no.
I have a plan for the parking. I have a plan I can obviously locate where the property lines are, and I can obviously put on a fence, and we can look at a buffer. I spoke to these residents outside before the meeting, and they indicated they wanted to see something in the form of a park enhancement. So that,
Well, I think that's the second
It's a blank
part.
canvas.
There's got to be two. There's got to be the safety issue and the appearance issue, regardless of an enhancement.
And the safety issue as well, yes. I was thinking about speed tables, but there's other ways to do that.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there anyone else who would like to come up and speak? Yes, sir. Thank you for being patient.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Sykes. I live at 61 Lizette Street. About 5 years ago, I bought my house there, and the reason why, well, not one of the reasons why I bought my house, because of that park, because I have grandchildren, and I used to always take my grandkids over to that park. When we have a cookout or whatever, I always used to allow them to go to the park and play, so they used to love to come to my house just to go to the park. Now there's no swings there. Now we got cars flying up and down the street. We got people coming from Venetia, intoxicated, urinating while we're on our porch. And to me personally, That was one of the reasons why I bought my house in that area, because of the park. But the things that I've seen now that's going on, it's like unbelievable.
Thank you, sir.
Tom, excuse me, why were the swings taken down?
I believe Mr. Garofalo came to a council meeting and addressed the governing body about it. There were all kinds of issues there, and I believe at some point there were residents who came from that area and said it was a terrible hangout, so they were removed after that.
But the park's not fenced in anymore.
No, I was just trying to figure out why the swings, I thought they were taken down because some residents complained about them being there. Yeah.
I remember about people hanging out, because they had those concrete cylinders, that I think kids were drinking, and towards the back.
It was a long time ago.
Towards the back. But that's what I remember. As far as pulling out the swings and all, I don't really have a recollection of that. But I do know one thing. I look at it now, and it's pretty bad. It doesn't look like a park. It looks like just some greenery with a parking lot behind it. So I think we need to step it up. I think it's not something that's a big dollar item, but if we could get on it right away and, give them immediate relief, and they deserve it.
Thank you, Fred. Is there anyone else who'd like to come up and speak? At this time, I don't see anyone's hands. I'm going to open up for council comments. Councilman Calandrillo, Councilman Aloya. Apologize.
Thank you, Mayor, no problem. I tried to make notes as people were coming up to speak. With regard to the games and the calling of the softball games, I know my granddaughter plays there. We really, as a municipality or as a council, we don't tell them when to play or how to play or when the fields are good. That's really the coaches' association and the rec department, so it's really an issue that has to be addressed with them. But as with anything, it's always child safety comes first, and sometimes we don't like the fact that we have to play double headers, but as long as your kid wins, it's always okay. The speeding on Harrison Avenue. It's not Harrison Avenue, it's Harrison Highway. We have all the clocks on it, we got the police things on it. They start at Outwater Lane and they don't stop till they get to the traffic light. Yeah, and then they go. No, it really is an issue with regard to how fast people drive. And now with all the vehicles that are on the street, it's amazing that they would even test it and do it as they do. But you're not wrong about the speeding and the traffic situation. With regard to the road condition, it is starting to really start to show its age. And I think one of the worst things that happened to Harrison Avenue is that, if you do remember, we paved one side of the street and then the municipality paved the other side of the street at a different time. It wasn't done all at once, so now that middle seam is just eroding terribly. So I think that the city really has to look at Harrison Avenue as being one of those streets that needs substantial repair. We're scared of Harrison Avenue because it's a mile and a half long and it's a lot of money. Right.
I'm sorry, we just can't go back and forth.
Right, but I mean, we'll have the engineer review some of the things that we can do that hopefully could slow them down, but you're right, they really love to drive fast on Harrison Avenue. It is a condition. With regard to also the DPW and the employees, the DPW, it's not their fault that the fields don't get opened when they get open. They deal with them as fast as they can, as quickly as they can, and even like tonight with the weather condition, who the heck knew we were going to get this storm the way it came in? So everything's soaking wet outside. With the Hispanic Society and October 13th, I don't have an issue if we recognize other organizations on other nationalities with a permanent time and date and an annual event and calendar for them. The cars in the lots with Lizette, we mentioned it all again. Obviously, there are conditions there that we're not even aware of in the sense of how bad it gets sometimes. And you would think that the Venetian, being as successful as they are, they would want their front door and their back door to look good. So obviously, tonight was, I think, with regard to Citi Field and the way we've presented Citi Field, that maybe that's a perfect lead-in to what we're talking about even now with Lizette Street, and it being a smaller project, something that we can grab hold of quicker and get the participant of the Venetian to be part of that redevelopment to enhance everything that's back there. I tried to cover as many of the notes that we have to the committee. I commend Dennis again. I commend the Boys and Girls Club, our rec director, our Boys and Girls Club director, all the people, the YMCA. Thank you so much for stepping up in a way that we are not able to. That's something that I think that maybe we can have ideas, but you really do have the power. It's not this side of the gate, it's that side of the gate. And I really do commend you for doing the things that you did. Because we come up with a lot of ideas. Some of them are stupid, I'll have to admit. Some of those were even mine. I'll have to admit that too. But at the same token, don't get excited, Joe. But at the same token, this was one that I just think we weren't looking at it in the total picture. We were trying to be polite to the organization that was there, that they were coming to a point where their total utilization of the field wasn't to its fullest potential, and no one wanted to really hurt Babe Ruth in any way, shape, or form. And fielding that, using that field, having something else, whether we put basketball courts in there, or walking paths, or hopefully the city will see their way into putting an outside atrium, amphitheater type, where we can show movies to the kids on the grass like we did on Spring Street. Whatever ideas you come up with, none of it was meant to diminish the value of the 25-plus years that Babe Ruth gave us. They were an honorable teams, honorable sport, an honorable club, and they really made Garfield look good, and I know Garfield is going to look good without me cheering you on, but with all those kids on the field doing a great job once again. So thank you so very much. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilman Calangelo.
Yes, and I have to address it, but I'm going to be quick on it. Erin, I'm sorry you weren't at the last meeting, but I will not be accused of passing out a political flyer. Merely, it was a letter written from the heart by a resident, and it was about the truth and about transparency. And if I was asked to do it again, and if I had to do it again, I would do it in a heartbeat. So it was about doing something, taking a bad idea and pushing it through, and people rising up and standing up and stopping it. So that's what it was. I think now we have to go to the next phase. I believe there's a committee out there, some people right in the audience. Mayor, if we could maybe get them on the agenda for one of the meetings once they request it, to at least hear the ideas. Let's see what's floating out there, what the residents want. And then we can maybe go forward, see what the costs are, see what we could maybe afford to get done before we get any major contributions or apply for any major money, just to show a sign that, you know what, it's parkland, we're happy it's going to stay parkland, and it's here for the rest of our lives. So I would love to see that. And as far as the comments, all well received here, and I think we'll get some reaction on Lizette Street. Jenny Anastas has been pretty much the watchdog of Lizette Street for many, many years. And she's been in our meetings and always given us what we need to know. And I will say this, the Venetian is a big taxpayer, but that doesn't give them a special set of rules. They have to abide by the same rules. And I will say this, Jimmy and the principals, the other principals of ownership, anytime we have asked them to do something for the city as far as correcting any problems, they have been responsive. Am I right, Mr. Dutch? Yes. I'll never forget the first day they came in front of our planning board, and it was at a time when nothing was happening in Garfield. It was in the early 2000, and they have built a magnificent facility. It's a destination for many people. I think by my past experience, they will hear this, and they will stand up and do what they're supposed to do. And if they don't, then we'll have to do what we have to do. This weekend is coming up. We have a ceremony with our fallen police officers. And going forward, once we recognize our police officers, the next weekend, we recognize our veterans. Memorial Day is a very special day, and we have a ceremony where we recognize our firemen. We march down from Fire Company Number 2 to the front of City Hall, and we have a great recognition for them. And, I think we all have to understand the times we're in for our vets. It was many years we had peaceful years. We weren't in conflicts, we weren't in wars, but that's not the case nowadays. We have veterans that do sacrifice their lives, their families, sacrifice what they have. We have past veterans in the city of Garfield who have been injured, who have died for us, for our freedom. So I think we should all pay respect. Let's show our support of our veterans. The parade is on the Sunday, the 27th. Be nice to see everybody there. And with that being said, everyone have a great evening.
Thank you. Councilwoman Delaney.
Yes, I know Lisa's not here, but I will definitely look into who makes that decision with the fields. I understand that 12 is too early, but then again, we also don't want to call it too late. We want to give parents and the children enough time and enough notice. So that's definitely something that we'll look into. Jeanette over on Harrison Avenue, I know I've made certain complaints about speeding in town, as have so many people. I know a lot of recommendations have been increased radar, and so maybe we'll look into that again. And I know in the past, when certain locations have been brought up, the police department goes out and does a study to assess and evaluate the average speed going on there. So maybe that's something the police department can do again. I know that I requested it personally on Elizabeth Street at one point, so maybe that's something that can happen too. In regards to the Riverwalk trees, if they are not filled, I'm sure they definitely will be. I'm a huge proponent of the trees in town, being the head of the green team, and I know the deputy mayor makes that drive every night, so I'm sure the next time he does it, he'll look into it and see what's going on there. Mr. Morales, in regards to Hispanic Heritage Month, as you said that date, I instantly put it on my calendar, and I have no problem reaching out to the events committee and the women in Tom Dutch's office about adding that to our city calendar. In regards to the high school field, I do agree, Dante and everyone else who spoke of it, the ball is being dropped. We're trying really hard to get this field up and going. I was a graduate of 2009. I played sports there too, so I'm sure I'm not much older than you, although I don't want to hear how old you are. But the Garfield School District was always important to my father, and from the day I was in preschool, I went to the YMCA until I graduated. Like I said, 2009, and I wouldn't be who I am today if it weren't for our school district. And it's definitely a priority of mine, and we'll definitely keep fighting for that. Dennis, just very quickly, I don't want to keep rehashing things. I'm my own person. I'm 26 years old. Although you spoke to my dad, I had no idea that you spoke to my dad. I don't live at home anymore. So I understand that you had that conversation. But to me, when you say, council members Louis Aloya and Frank Calandrillo are in support of saving the field, 3 members of the council put politics ahead of et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's only 3 other individuals that follow these 2 gentlemen up here. So, with that being said, I respect your opinion. I spoke about my feelings, not your character. I will always have an open mind and listen to the public as long as I sit in this seat. And I'm going to leave it at that. I do want to point out and say something in regards to that field. I understand we're the city of champions, and something Mr. Aloya brought up, I wanted to address this. That doesn't always mean the champions are athletes. I would love to see something at that field for our special needs community. I know I was very fortunate growing up to be able to play sports, but I had a best friend that had muscular dystrophy, and she couldn't go to practice every day. And what did she do while we were doing that? So I really would maybe like to see an amphitheater or something of that nature go at that park. Because, you know, our youth in the community aren't all athletes. With that being said, we did have a few ceremonial resolutions tonight. I would congratulate everyone, our upcoming chief for a day, Tom, who is being honored at the Pulaski Parade this year as the Grand Marshal, Danuta, who's the president of the Rotary Club, and Father Peter, I might be saying his name wrong, Palmisano, I know from Mount Virgin. Also, we have on June 1st, which is National Gun Violence Awareness Day. Please don't forget to wear your orange. And I want to end on a few good notes. I know our city manager mentioned on June 14th, we'll be eligible for some money from the county to potentially expand River Drive. I wasn't at the last meeting. I was in California, but as the head of the Green Team, this was the first time that the city of Garfield applied for a Sustainable New Jersey grant, and we were successful in receiving that grant. I went to the event announcement last week. It was a very proud moment for me. We will be doing some projects in the city with that grant. As the deputy mayor mentioned today, we were invited to go down to the governor's office and have a meeting. Some of the things that we spoke about were our schools, NJ Transit, and the train trestle, which has been a constant topic of discussion at our meetings, opportunity zones. So I think that was a nice opportunity for us to be able to go down to Trenton and have a voice for our city. And then we also have the Garfield is Blooming campaign. So just very quickly, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We had some great contests throughout the year for our Christmas tree decorating, our Halloween decorating. But, you know, we didn't have much of a spring, but now that the weather is getting warmer, we are doing a contest in the city for landscaping. So we understand that there's different dynamics within the city. Not everyone has a front lawn, but we're going to be doing one winner per ward, and anyone interested can call the rec center. You'll be submitting a photo of your property and how you decorate your property for the spring and summer weather. And as I said, there will be one winner per ward for that contest. All details can be found on our Green Team page, on our city website, on our billboards, or just by calling the rec department. And last but not least, we have upcoming our Memorial Day Parade on May 27th, the Fallen Police Officers event this weekend, and on June 7th, our Rotary Beefsteak. So we have a lot of good events coming up, thanks to the support of the council, city manager, our events committee. So thank you, everyone, for your hard work. And I would like to apologize in advance. I will not be at the next meeting on May 29th. I will be on a family vacation with my parents and brother. It was one of the last gifts that my grandfather ever gave me before passing. So I'm very much looking forward to it, but very sad to be missing those great events that will be going on here in Garfield. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor. All right, quickly, Madison. Great job, Madison. Excellent. I know your pop-up was mentioned, but let me tell you something, all right? You got a great mom and dad right there. I had the pleasure of sitting with your pop-up, all right, on the Board of Ed for about 10 years, and he taught me a lot. He taught me to take my Sicilian pie, the middle slice, right? He told me to get the extra sauce by the meatball sandwiches at Barcelona's. He taught me a lot. But you know who taught me a lot? Your grandmother. All right, your grandmother taught me a lot, and I see you sitting next to her with her arm around you, and that's a great thing. There's nothing more important than family. Tom, we passed resolution number 185 tonight. 185 had with regards to Passaic Street, developing, I believe, with the new sidewalks and lights that we're working on.
Yes? Do you want me to explain it?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, so we previously applied for what's called TAP funding, and we received a grant for $800,000. Some of you were at the last council meeting, and we talked about the fact that we went back to the state, we applied for another $350,000. That's for Passaic Street streetscape improvements. So the reason Passaic Street is so bad right now is because of all the gas line work that's been done, and rather than repave it, because we have this grant to do the streetscape, the curbs, the pavers, the lights, everything, and it's time, it was done a long time ago, it needs to be done again, Got $1,150,000 towards that and it's a federal government grant administered by the state. We also we were successful in getting a grant to pay for the inspection services every day at the site. That's in addition to the inspection services that I have to do as the federally approved administrator of that grant. So, this is another phase of the project. This is another application for another $1 million to address the needs of First Ward residents.
Thank you, Tom. In other words, we got Passaic Street moving. Passaic Street is moving. We had a redeveloper come in at the redevelopment meeting who's looking to develop property on Passaic Street, close to the train trestle, with no eminent domain. And even though there is eminent domain in that resolution, doesn't mean that the city is not for eminent domain. That's the last thing we want to do. But we have developers coming on Passaic Street looking to build. That's a great thing, and it's without eminent domain. So redevelopment is moving in the city, or continue to move in the city in a positive way. Lizette Street Park, I'm sure we're going to look into that. I apologize for what happened. That should never happen in nobody's neighborhood. All right, well, I'm sure Tom Dutch will take that, and something's definitely going to happen. All right, what else I got to say? My daughter was correct. We all going on a family vacation, and I do love the city, but I do love my family more. You know, it's just that I'm going to miss the Memorial Day Parade. I'm going to be missing a few things, and I feel bad, but I'll be there in spirit. I'm missing the next council meeting also, but that's what it is. Lastly, we did pass a lot of ceremonial resolutions, but the one that I pushed to pass was the awareness of gun violence in our country right now. On June 1st is Awareness Gun Violence Day, and so we're orange. And a few weeks ago, Garfield High School seniors, or the whole school, decided on a walkout to recognize the people in Parkland that passed away. And I made an announcement here at the council meeting how I wanted to support them. And if you looked out that day and you seen the 17 chairs they had lined up in remembrance of the 17 victims, if you didn't cry, then there's something wrong. But I wanted to give them so much credit. Even though at this council meeting, it was said by a council member that they're activists, they belong in school, and we should send teachers, we should send the nuns back. That is so wrong. They're not activists. They had a point to prove, and they did it in such a great way. I want to honor them for what they did that day. And by doing this, by passing the gun awareness on for June 1st, is, I think, a step in the right direction. Anybody cares to join me wearing orange that day, June 1st, I'll be there. With that, I'd like to have a good night. Thanks so much for everybody coming down. I know it's late. Sorry for keeping you waiting, but it's good to see everybody.
All right, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm going to try and make this quick because I do know it is late. I will be wearing my orange as well. And for all those students who happen to walk out of school to protesting gun violence, I wish they put as much effort into bullying as they did for this. I never see anybody standing up to bullying and walking out of school. So, you know, this is a good cause, but it's also, you know, there are kids that get bullied every day that may sometimes lead to these tragic events, and we should stand up for them as well. One day, maybe someone will put that out there. Lizette Park, I hope that we do look into it and we solve this problem real fast. We do have a parade on the 27th of May. We also have the mud run on the 26th at Century Field. The mud run is all money raised will go to the VFW. I want to thank the Boys Club. I didn't know about it, and I apologize for not knowing about it, but the Boys Club and the Girls Club, the Boys and Girls Club, they put together a Mother's Day brunch. And I heard it was fantastic for the people who did attend. I wish I knew about it. I apologize. I should have looked. But I've been under the weather. I had surgery just recently, and I guess I wasn't paying attention to it. So I apologize for not being there, but I heard it was fantastic, and I hope you guys continue those type of events, because the Boys Club, the Rec Center, and the YMCA, we have a committee together, and this will lead me into Anthony, if you're still here. the October 13th Heritage. There's a Garfield committee together, community events committee, where they put these events together. So if there's anything a resident wants to put together, please see someone from Garfield Community Events Committee. They'll put it in, get it into the calendar, and it'll be locked in. We're starting to move forward with these events on 4th of July, the parades, the fireworks, movies under the stars. We're doing things in the summer because the weather would be nice. The Rotary Club is having a beefsteak, so if you can make it, please attend. Pulaski Day Association 66th Annual Polish Dinner, honoring Tom Dutch, as well as our city clerk was the City Clerk of the Year. He was honored, so I'd like to give him a round of applause. I got to give a shameless plug to my middle school. We're having a concert, a spring concert this Thursday. If anybody would like to come and if you're into the arts, it's unbelievable. You see our kids at that age, what they can do. It's unbelievable. And again, I'm proud of what we've accomplished today. I'm proud that we could compromise, we could come to a nice conclusion to this, and we're going to be moving forward, and we're always going to be looking forward to moving Garfield. With that said, I hope everybody has a fantastic evening.
Motion.